Well, hello, everybody, and hello to
Hello,
you.
hello, hello, hello.
Hello, hello, hello. It's Thursday, and that's time for opposite Saxes.
I was almost a trash talk, but I wouldn't be
I,
here if it was trash talk.
yeah, yeah, and that's me because I always get into that mode because
Yeah, you're confusing me,
I never know what
but you
show
did
I'm
good.
recording,
But
and
you
I
did
had to
good.
think quickly.
Yeah, you did good.
And I looked over there, and I thought, oh wait,
She's
she's
here, not
yeah,
him.
yeah, not Brandon.
Yeah.
So it must be opposite Saxes. How are y'all? Good to have you with us, as always. Another report was out of Chapter 11 filings. Stores just outright closing or closing the doors on several units. It's a shame to see that because every time I hear about another store that's closing all or many of their locations, the first thing that comes to mind is people are put out of work. Because when one retailer goes out, it's not like all the other retailers have got signs in their window.
Right.
They're looking for help because they're probably
There
cutting
are
back a little bit too.
problems as well. So,
And so you wonder what happens to all of those people. Carry it a step further. That means that if there are all those people that are laid off, they're all going to apply for unemployment benefits. And that has its set of
problems as well.
ramifications
Yeah,
too.
right.
But I mean, just in the last month,
Yeah, read your
and
list. I
I
was
don't,
shocked when I saw that.
and I will tell you that I am not afraid to say that I think that this current administration is partly to blame because they've just set their sights on things that are just not pro mid and middle income and
They're
lower
not
income family.
practical. I mean, it just doesn't make sense
Well, they want to
going from,
regulate things for all the wrong reasons.
yeah, yeah,
This whole tariff thing, that's where a lot of this has happened. A lot of these companies last year, under the previous administration, they were all having their issues, but they were still maintaining their ability to carry on
carry on
business.
business.
But as soon as the new administration came in and had these lofty goals of tariffs up to 200% on goods, right away, this is what happened. The stores said, if we get hit with tariffs, let's just take China, for instance. The clothing industry, so much of the clothing industry, we know, depends on imports from China. If those imports are going to be now carry a 200% tariff, that means the department stores and specialty stores across the country are not going to be able to sell at a price that's going to be conducive for the customer to buy.
That's right.
All right. So starting right away in January, people ran to the stores and they started buying everything they could off of the shelf at the current prices because they knew that, for instance, if something is as necessary as Pampers, if they were paying X number of dollars for Pampers for their babies, that was going to carry a tariff which is going to be passed along to the consumer. We know that they're not going to be able to afford it. The stores are not going to be able to make a profit on it because if they try to keep the price low enough for the people to buy, then they're going to lose money. So it's a lose-lose situation. Well,
Yeah.
okay, then we're going to roll the tariff back to maybe 100%. Then maybe we'll roll it back to 50%. The damage was done, and people, a lot of stores filed for bankruptcy. It's amazing, and
Read,
those that are holding
read
on.
some of those because that it really
Well,
surprised
for
me.
instance, and this one kind of happened a little earlier, but Party City, which was
Yeah,
where you went for inexpensive party goods, paper plates,
absolutely.
anything for a party, closing all stores
They did.
across.
They're gone.
They are gone.
And
Although
I did some.
we did see one. Uh, we were driving someplace, and I said, "Oh my gosh, there's a Party City that's open."
But I don't, was it open really?
I think it was what they did was the way they do it is they consolidate into stores, and they get it all into one,
So,
and then maybe have that one final blowout.
yeah, I'm not sure that that was really open, but some of the dollar stores now are having more of the paper plates and the napkins and the tablecloths. However,
Maybe they did a deal with Party City and bought up all their old goods
well, no,
for the dollar
because you
stores.
can't get them in the amounts where you could get 50 plates, in one stack
Yeah.
for nothing, virtually nothing. In the dollar stores, it's packs of like 10 and
Oh,
15
well,
and 20.
see,
It's different. But they are having more of it. It's just not in the same vein as Party City. You're still at a loss. If you need a large number of goods for a large
you
party,
have to buy more packages of it.
you can go to that other online dealer that starts with an A,
Yes.
and you get it there. So everybody is going there, it looks like, even for their
Oh,
clothing.
well, and that is and always has been for at least the past 20 years. That has been one of the reasons why the brick and mortar stores have been hurting, is
Yeah.
because they are faced with having to open and close that door every day, turn on the lights, turn on the air conditioning or the heat, and absorb those overhead costs to try and make a profit. Whereas people said, I don't need to go to the store anymore. I could just go online. And the online vendors were offering them free shipping both ways. So if you opened up the package, it didn't fit, you put it back in the package and you send it back. And it made shopping more convenient. I think
Yeah.
about that today with what's happening in the food industry with DoorDash and all that. You don't have to go eat in a restaurant anymore. You
No.
can just call that restaurant and they'll deliver. Now, the restaurant gets the food order, but they're still sitting with a dining room full of empty tables.
And you're still paying an extra fee for that delivery, which I guess to some people, another couple dollars, it doesn't bother them.
Well, the deal I think is, if I'm not mistaken, is DoorDash will pick up the goods and deliver it for a fee, and then they pay a dollar or two for the delivery back to the restaurant for advertising that they use DoorDash. It's just like these third party solicitors for funds. I'm calling on behalf of the Cancer
Right.
Society.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, if you give the money, they get a piece of it, and then the Cancer Society
A
gets
lot of
some.
it also is ordering online and ordering for food. Maybe it's the age we're at. I don't know if it's lazy. I don't know if I just haven't done it enough. And so I'm not
Yeah.
familiar with DoorDash as much. Um,
You know,
Even with the online buying of the goods, you got to look to see if it's a secondhand retailer, third hand, because
right.
sometimes in the fine print,
It's
folks,
repackaged or something.
you can't return it, but you don't notice that. So you really have to have an eye out when you're buying online. And it just, to me, it's very frustrating and aggravating.
Yeah. And the latest thing is now they have driverless delivery cars
Yeah.
in some of the major cities. So that means that even this poor driver who's trying to make a living and all, he's not even in the
No,
car anymore.
no.
And you have to go out and
Well,
and and get the food. Or the real latest one, and I've heard it in our neighborhood, is these drone deliveries.
oh yeah, I can hear it.
You hear them. It hovers over the backyard of the house, and I've even seen one, and it just drops the bag with whatever the goods are in
Yeah.
it down, puts it in your backyard and everything, and off it goes. And people are willing to do that. And I don't doubt that there's people that order $20 worth of something and pay an extra $6 or $8 to have it dropped in their backyard by a drone.
Which is amazing because then they scream if it's raised at a small boutique or
Right.
store.
And then what happens? When you see that that store is going out of business, you say to yourself, "Oh, that was one of my favorite businesses. I'm going to really miss them." Why? Because you didn't support
Support
them
them. We'll
by.
read the others.
Oh, it's it.
You
This
got through Party City number
Yeah.
one.
Now, Red Lobster closed. I think closed up almost all their stores. Then they reopened under new management, and they've just reclosed 100 of what they said were their lower producing stores. So what does that mean? For all those people that have enjoyed that Red Lobster in that town of 50,000
Hmm.
or 100,000 and all, you're not good enough for that franchise anymore. That franchisee is not making enough, so he closes up. So yeah, the some of those franchises still exist, but only in the major cities.
Right. Yeah, true. Next.
Joanne Fabrics.
Oh, where can you get any more fabric? Any more sewing
And again, you probably have to go
utensils?
online, and you're not exactly sure because half of the issue with going to Joanne Fabrics to get something to recover a bench or a
See,
chair or something
feel,
was
touch. See,
exactly.
feel, no can do. You can return it once you get it
And talk to
sometime.
somebody who's knowledgeable in the fabric, and you say, I want to use this for my dining room chairs and all. Well, I think I would tell you not to buy satin, maybe to buy, you know, polyester.
Right, whatever. It just,
That's gone.
uh,
Leaves up to you. We all read that Rue 21, which I'm not all that familiar with it, but it's a junior I tape
right.
think store. All their stores are closed. Rite Aid drugstores, a staple across the country where they were, closed every one of their stores. And you thought, oh, well, all right, they'll be absorbed by CVS,
No,
Walgreens.
no, no, no.
Uh-uh.
They're gone.
No. Walgreens just closed 1,200 stores across the country. Now stop and think about that.
That
If
surprises
you live
me.
in a city, if you live in a city like us, almost on every corner where there's a CVS, there's a Walgreens across the street. They always want to be next to each other like Burger King and McDonald's. But yet there's not enough business for both of them to sustain that
To
corner. So
coexist.
one of them closes up. But
I
1,200
can't.
Walgreens. And
That
I
sounds like an
grew
awful
up
lot of
I
Walgreens.
grew up with Walgreens.
Well, we all
I
did.
mean, Walgreens was really,
We all did.
the
I didn't realize that they closed that many.
that many. Now, the one that really gets me is Macy's. They have just
Yeah.
announced they're closing 66 Macy's store. Now, for those of you who have been shopping for a long time, for as long as we've been around, when they started with the major malls back in the 70s, they opened the major malls with usually four anchor stores. Some of them were Weebolt's, Marshall Fields, J.C. Penney, Sears. I'm trying to think some of those other
Could have been
sort
Goldblatt's.
a bit of Goldblatt, Neiman Marcus,
Yeah.
even Bloomingdale's, all of these,
Lord and Taylor, that's no longer with us.
and a lot as some of those stores started to dry up, Macy's zoomed in and took over all of those. Macy's took over all the Carson Pirie Scott stores in the Midwest. They took over all the Marshall Field stores. And so Macy's became like the major multi-department retailer. And now they have turned around and they just announced they're closing 66 stores.
Okay. Have you ever gone into a Macy's? I
Well,
know there are a lot of you people that love and revere Macy's.
yeah,
But I got to tell you something. First of all, the
they,
racks are jam-packed. You can't even look at an article of clothing because they're so packed. You go into a dressing room, you can barely get in the dressing room because all of the clothes from the other customers that have been in there are sitting either on the floor or on the little stool, or they're just hanging there on the hooks.
with all the pins,
Yeah.
all the pins that people take out of the
It
garments and everything end up on the carpet in the dressing rooms and they don't clean them up.
it's just I don't know how anybody can shop at Macy's. I will say they have fabulous discounts, but again, I think that didn't help to their with their demise because there's only so much you can cut. When they have coupons, buy one, get one, they have their big days during the weeks of big sales.
And you
There's
can
only so much you can do
And years ago,
Before you do
there
go
were
out of
there were people
business,
in the departments to help you. There's
there's
nobody
nobody
to
in
help.
Macy's.
You
Nobody
have
in
to you
Macy's.
even have to search for a crash wrap to check out.
So yes, I feel bad that they're closing their stores. It's the end of another era, but it doesn't surprise me, I guess is what I'm saying.
Well, you have to ask yourself who shot who in the foot. I mean, to a certain degree, we've done this to ourselves. We
Yeah.
have found that it's more convenient to shop from home than it is to go and support the brick and mortar, especially the independents in those. I mentioned those towns of 50,000 people. You can still, we just went to a small town a couple of weeks ago and found that there were four little boutiques in the
Mhm.
town. I walked into one and I'm a big guy. I couldn't believe the clothing that they had in my size. I'm lucky if I usually find one or two pieces
Well,
in my
now
size.
here's the
But
question.
this was in a small town and they were operated by independent people. The people that owned it were in the stores.
How long do you think when we go back there? Well, we go back there a lot because we have friends in that
Yeah,
area. But do you think in another year or two? I pray that they are still open.
it's
I
possible that
pray.
they'll still be open because there's so many subdivisions that are
Dude,
going
I'm
in
hoping.
around that area. But it's only a matter of time when they decide, somebody comes in and decides they want to buy up their stores,
Where the tariffs hit them and they
and
can't get product
they
for that
can't.
price.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean,
Oh, and
if
Kohl's.
there's well, Kohl's has been opening and closing
That
stores.
surprised me. I thought maybe I was surprised
And
with
I
that one.
and yet I think one of the largest ones is what still Dollar Tree or
Dollar General and Dollar
Dollar
Tree.
General, Dollar Tree, Dollar
Dollar Tree
This,
has
Dollar
gone up
that,
from $1 to $1.25 on everything.
on almost everything, really.
So at that point, you say, well, okay,
Yeah.
okay, it's still not a bad price.
Or
But
when a dollar used to buy a bag of six, now it's one in the bag. I mean, there's always a way to do it, but walk into a Dollar General, a Dollar Tree or something and find something that was made in America because almost everything is from an imported country, and that means they are going to be subject to tariffs to bring that stuff in.
yeah, it's funny. I asked somebody the other day when I was in one of the Dollar Tree stores, and he said, no, so far they haven't had a problem. But that's a worker. I don't know about if corporate would say that they haven't had a problem.
Well, but
But
3 months or 6 months from
yeah, it's
now,
still
how
early.
is your
It's
supply
still early. It's still
going?
early.
You're selling stuff off of the shelf, but are you getting new goods to replace it?
Yeah, I've just started thinking about the holidays already. Where are we? This is the summertime.
July, yeah.
Yeah, and thinking about the holidays, and I've started thinking about buying some gifts now so that I have them.
You better, and that's what I'm saying is
So,
that certain items that you know and need, you better buy them and stockpile them in your
yeah,
home because when you need them getting closer to the holidays, like we said, the stuff you would normally get at Party City, it ain't going to be there,
I
or
know.
you're going to pay double for it.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Such a happy show.
Yes, yes. Aren't we happy? Glad we just raised your happy level. So now as soon as we hang up, everybody's going to go online and they're buy, buy everything they need.
Well, you better.
And you know what else you better do? You better come back again next Thursday at 1 o'clock for another episode of Opposite Sexes.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.